Hi everybody, welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway for round 14 of the Monster Energy Supercross. I'm Broc Glover from Dunlop Tires and Adam Entenap. The number 7 Deuce Deuce made the main event last week.
Yeah,
that was cool, man. So yeah, we're doing a little different this week because of Mother Nature.
Yes, a little bit of rain in the forecast. It shouldn't be that much though. We were looking at the forecast. Should only be like a half an inch. As you guys can see, the track's pretty dry right now. So I think Dirtworks is kind of getting ready for a little bit of that rain, but Broc, let's get this underway.
Absolutely. First and foremost, gigantic track as usual for these outdoor venues. This one is 3,600 feet long.
Wow.
Typical Supercross track is usually around 1,800, maybe up to 2,000 feet. And this one is almost double that. And the other thing that's incredible here, and you always talk about how you don't really like that, but this is one of the longest starting lines I've ever seen in Supercross. Could be a record breaker. It's 580 feet long.
Wow. Okay, so the reason that I don't like the start being so long, right, is because when the start's that long, obviously being a bigger guy, it's hard to get that momentum. And what's happening, Broc, is when you come out of the gate, 1 or 2 miles an hour faster off the grate with those lighter guys is going to turn into 6 or 7 miles an hour faster down this straightaway. And as the straightaway goes longer and longer, you get more and more of a disadvantage as you go farther. So that's why for me, being a bigger guy, the short start works good, because if I can get out even, I'm not going to be back as much as those guys with, you know, not as much weight on their bike. So having this longer straightaway is going to be tough. But for me, the biggest thing I'm thinking about is just executing, getting off that grate, because you know that half mile an hour, quarter mile an hour off the grate faster is going to be so much towards the end of the straightaway.
I mean, you're talking really literally hundreds of seconds of reaction time, so you got to get that good jump. And then on top of that, at that point with the grate, you know, you don't have to worry about a bad rut on your gate pick or whatever it may be. So, you know, everybody comes off very, very evenly nowadays. And with all the electronics they have on the bike, nobody's spinning or wheeling too much. And so it's pretty amazing. So here, first turn, again, crew's working hard right now, trying to get the track all prepped. And then they're going to cover it with plastic. So we'll try to work past this noise here. Flat corner, perfectly flat, nice and wide, and then goes right into a rhythm section. You got to ride press day today, so tell me what you saw.
Okay, so here, I seen that these were really small, but they're actually very, very peaky jumps. And another thing I want Shane to kind of get is that with this start, it's very different. It's going to be confusing for these riders because we're coming across the track over here. We're coming, when we go here, we don't come back through this way. We go back that way, then back this way, then back this way. So that's one thing you're going to be looking for, is just trying to keep up with what's going on with the track. It's super, super long, and we're crossing it many times. As far as this section, Broc, I seen a triple onto the tabletop and then off 3, 3 into the corner. Pretty basic, but I think with the speed of this double behind us coming in, you're gonna go over this tabletop, 3, 3, and then there's only a 2 out. But what's cool is there's actually a berm at the end, and I think we're gonna actually almost triple onto the berm and use that berm as a landing and apex under the tunnel.
Yeah, this is a really busy rhythm section. If Shane, you'll turn the camera around here, as Adam was saying, you're actually, the first corner is intersecting this only about maybe a third of the way up the straightaway. Here we have another 13 or 14 obstacles ahead of us.
Yes.
So this is a busy section, and you know it's going to get almost confusing, as you said, for the rider. And if you get a chance to go to the Yamaha animated track feature that's on many of the websites, including Supercross Live's website, you can see how this is somewhat of a confusing track. It crosses over, under, you know, uses the starting line backwards at one point, but I'm sure the riders have figured it out just in a couple laps.
Yeah, and another thing I definitely want to point out, Broc, is there's a lot of track, like you said, but that means the speeds are up. These rhythm sections, you guys are looking at them. This is not something that's very different compared to a regular Supercross track. So you're going to come into these super fast, and you know what that means, Broc? Its timing is going to come into a big play, because you're coming in so hot into these rhythms, and then you're going to have to slow down, check up, and actually like finesse the throttle instead of just hitting it wide open. So that's going to be a different aspect to this track as well.
Yeah, you're going to see some of the top riders almost using mini scrubs, I think, between jumps. Because if you go too far, what's going to happen is you're going to face plant the next one. Then it's going to throw you off on the rhythm on the next one. If that happens early in that sequence, you're in deep trouble. Because if you fall out of rhythm and not able to do one of the jumps, man, that's trouble. So under the old school over-under jump here, which is not so much old school anymore because we're starting to see this featured quite a bit. The only place on the track right today is nice and shady because tomorrow is a daytime race.
Yep.
And so it's going to be quite different. Nice big berm, high speed here, entering another right-hander. But you can see right here, if Shane, you can kind of pan back here. We'll see it a little bit later, but you saw how hard-packed this got today during press day. With the weather forecast, they were a little bit hesitant to put water on the track.
Which I totally agree with.
Yeah, they need to let this stuff absorb Mother Nature. Only a quarter to a half of inch forecast tomorrow.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be that bad if they were able to actually, to absorb this. But we are in Atlanta, Georgia, where the red clay is a little bit slippery when it gets wet. But right here, this is what the riders were seeing. Again, if you can pan down a little low here, Shane, you can really see that these riders, you don't see a whole bunch except for those luxury suites for the race car track here, but this is huge, and I mean huge.
Yeah, so
100+ feet right here.
So this was definitely the biggest jump I've ever personally hit in Supercross, Broc. I came around that corner on my 450, was in second, and decided to click third gear. As you can see, they're actually working on it right now, and they've changed it because in practice it was so big. It was 100 foot long, so it was about another 40 or 50 feet past where that landing's at right now. And I was in the sky zone. I could jump up. I could see outside the stadium, wave to everybody in the real world, and then I came back down. It was unbelievable, but it was a super fun jump.
It's a long, long ways, and as you probably heard on our microphone, we were it's windier up there than it is down here, and this is a complete headwind.
Yep.
So even though you're launching, catching this big jump, you're fighting Mother Nature's headwind there. So in the air you might feel like, oh, I got it, and all of a sudden you start free falling out of the sky and coming up a little short.
Yeah.
So what they're doing here, this had a little bit of a knob on it and kind of a lift off, but what they're gonna do here is fill this into much more of a tabletop, so that if you do come up a little short, you have a flat landing, not comfortable, but at least not catastrophic.
Yeah, and I think I talked to the head guys at Dirtworks, and we are all pros. So the 100-foot gap, we were doing it, but the big problem with it was that our concern was, as riders, was doing it for 20 minutes straight and racing side by side. So we all kind of agreed upon making the call of pushing those two landings together and making it more of a racetrack instead of like a stunt double. You know what I mean? It's not that we can't do it. It's just that for 20 minutes racing side by side, they want to keep us safe and make sure we all get to the next round. So that was the decision made, and that's why.
And I think it's the right decision. We don't need any more injuries. And
Nope.
again, landing off of that, a little bit of a knob, jump into the face of this, and now we're landing into, I didn't realize that Atlanta has beachfront property, but this right here, this is it, buddy. What do you think, Adam? When you're landing in this thing, you can just see everybody's tracks just going everywhere right here.
Yeah, so with this section, when I was jumping it in press, I was jumping 3. So I was jumping to this Kawasaki banner here.
Okay.
And one of the things is I was coming off that lip in third, and the beach sand's so deep that I actually had to downshift back to second and get the revs up when I landed. Because after that, we ended up jumping 4. So we ended up jumping to that next Kawasaki banner because you had so much speed off of this lip that you could just send it in here. So this is definitely going to be a fan zone to watch.
You think about, go up to where you were landing, and I'm going to go stand near takeoff here. Wow. That is insane. That's as far as that 100-footer there.
I think it might be even
crazy.
farther.
So they're doing a 100-footer and then coming off of a fast section where they don't even have to slow down and just launching into a safety sand pit, and it's almost another 100 feet. That's incredible. That's incredible.
You know, Broc, as you run over here, I think one of the coolest aspects of this track is seeing the racetrack right next to you. You know, you're going so fast, and then you kind of look over, and normally you're seeing like fans right next to you, but you're seeing Atlanta Motor Speedway, and I think that's one of the coolest things.
Yeah, Shane, look at that. You're looking at it coming out of turn 4 there, coming onto the tri-oval here, the infamous Atlanta Motor Speedway right there, the banking, and
yeah.
I'm glad you're not doing it on a race day of a NASCAR event. You'd be going counter.
Yeah, this is like this is the gnarliest, deepest sand I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, this reminds me of back on the Tampa Supercross when they had that real beach.
Yeah.
Those clear water beach sand, they called it, that white sand. It's
Yep.
not quite as white, but it's definitely deep and soft here.
And then to give you like another perspective as fans, you know, most of the time they actually make the rollers underneath the dirt with dirt. Here, this is like forever sand. This is pure sand all the way to the bottom. So this is gonna get deep and gnarly.
So Adam, let's talk about that a little bit more. So a lot of these sand sections, like we saw last week in St. Louis, the sand section actually had some dirt underneath, as you mentioned.
Yes.
So the base is firm. They build some rollers in there, and they'll build the dirt as rollers, like mini whoops.
Yeah, exactly.
And they put the sand on top of it to make sure that whoop stays that way all the way through the night.
Exactly.
This 100% sand.
100% sand. So you're seeing from the top all the way to the speedway is sand, and the difference that's going to make is it's going to get very, very choppy, and it's going to get very, very deep. Okay, the reason that is we're jumping into it and we're hitting it so hard, it's just gonna push out like that. So once you start jumping it and doing those wheelies, man, this end section is gonna get so gnarly, and then off that landing, where we're all landing at, is gonna be this huge hole. So this is gonna be a tough section to navigate.
And the entries are up for this, and then also what we haven't even talked about, East-West Shootout for the two. This is what the fans have been waiting for.
Yeah, it is.
Christian Craig, Stop Jet Lawrence, you know, who else? Austin Faulkner's back. You know, we got a group of guys here. The East-West Shootout. Super excited for that. How about you?
Yeah, I'm really excited. As you can see, a couple rocks, but man, this dirt's so good. But my pick for this weekend's got to be Jet.
Yeah.
Who's your pick for this weekend?
You know, that's a tough one. You know, the two favorites, it's pretty simple to figure out who the two favorites are, but it just all depends on how the start and how everything is. Jet's been riding really, really well. But right here, Shane, if you could focus on this, like this was just a minimal amount of riding. We had some press day of the 450s, press day a little bit on the 250s, and we had 4 sessions with the Supercross Futures. So that's another thing going on this weekend. So a lot of bikes on the track. So the wear and tear, luckily this is a firm base, but you can see there were some ruts developing here. This will harden up. Maybe the ruts won't be quite as deep tomorrow if Mother Nature doesn't rear her.
Hold on here, Broc.
Rear her ugly.
I want to show you guys something also.
Yeah.
In press day, Eli Tomac and a couple of the top guys were 3ing out of this, and then they were hitting this lip and they were 4ing all the way over there to the whoops. And that's going to be like a top 5 line. That's a huge line. So look for that to be a big decision maker and who wins the actual 450 class. I'm not sure if you're going to see any 250s do that, but I think Chase Sexton, Malcolm Stewart, and Eli Tomac all went 3 and then hit this lip 4 all the way out into the front of those whoop sections.
And every time I see this stuff, it just a marvel. They're jumping basically where the tractor is.
Yes.
I mean, from here. And the face of this, if you look at the face of this next jump, looks like a little bit different, a little steeper on the right-hand side, and it rolls the top. This one looks kind of the main takeoff, but the guys were hitting right here in the center. And as just Adam was saying, they're jumping all the way down over the 4th one. So triple quad, watch for that on here. We're on the east end of the speedway here, and then landing right here in a fairly gnarly set of whoops that I saw. The Supercross Future riders, this was a tricky section for them because it follows a pretty good size double, sort of a double with a tabletop, almost a triple afterwards. So if you got a bad run through the whoops and didn't get a good drive on the 250, those guys were working it to get over that next jump. Yeah, so something I did hear, Broc, is after watching the Supercross Futures, they actually are deciding to take out the last whoop and take out the first whoop and make it the entry whoop, just because it was so difficult for those 250 guys. As you can see, I think they already did take out the last whoop. Yep, I see it now.
So it was so difficult for the 250s that they wanted to just make it a little easier for everybody else. But to kind of go back and talk about, we're gonna walk around this thing. They're working on it right now. But to talk about, you know, the riders, the amount of riders on the track, the one thing that is nice, Broc, about this track is it's twice as long. So just because we have twice as many riders doesn't mean it'll actually get as rough, because there's twice as much dirt. So you're actually not touching the dirt as many times as you would at a normal Supercross, because it's half the size. So that's one thing that they have to their advantage. there might be twice the riders, but there's actually going to be half the time on the track also.
Yeah, it's a great point, no question. You know, you're not going to be doing as many laps. It's not going to be a 27 lap main event in a 20 minutes.
Exactly.
So this here is very similar to the jump last year that was down around back just behind us a bit.
We all remember that one.
Remember that Cameron McAdoo, holy Toledo.
He said holy Toledo.
He said holy Toledo.
Yeah,
that was a crash, and if you haven't seen that one, I'm sure YouTube's got it everywhere, but it's that was a big, came into a jump similar to this.
Yep.
Boy, it was interesting. If it was very scary.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was not worse than it was, but similar jump, just moved this way. Last year it was back there a little further.
This honestly,
man, oh man,
it's
like a two-story drop here.
Yeah,
man.
this honestly was probably my funnest jump of the track.
Wow.
Because it's this smooth little tabletop, you know.
Yeah, and Shane's gonna get down low with the camera here, and as you crest over the top of this thing, it's a lot steeper than it looks. Oh man, especially right here. Yeah, this is
you know what's funny? I don't even notice it's this steep when I'm riding.
You know, this reminds me of when they used to have like a lot of those supercrosses in Europe and Bercy Supercross things.
Yeah.
They had real small floors, you know, in the arena, so they would make the jumps really steep and short.
Yeah.
And they were really, like you said, they were really, really steep on the downside. But the landing area forward and back, if you measure as steep as it is, it's only about 5-6 feet. So if you jump just 2 feet too short, you're in trouble. But if you jump 2 or 3, 4 feet too long, you're almost in the flat. So it's an interesting layout here. But boy, it leads right onto a
nice finish line double.
Yeah, fast little section here.
So Shane, get this right here. You can already see, you know, on this track, let me get it out of the sun.
Wait, there's enough black rubber there. I can make another Dunlop tire there, I think. Yeah, we literally have black rubber on this section here. So it's wearing the tires a little bit, you can see. But we'll see what Mother Nature does, because this is literally like hard concrete right here.
Yeah, I was spinning a lot coming into this, which is actually kind of fun because
spinning a lot. What are you saying, dude?
Yeah, but I know. Oh, I mean, we were hooking up on the other part of the track, but there's nothing you can do about that. And we were kind of like spinning, and then we get to drift into this finish line jump, which is absolutely so much fun. There's nothing better than leaning off the face of a finish line already and just kind of turning that thing down and just having so much fun.
Making you realize why you're a professional motocross, supercross racer, right?
You know, it's funny because these jumps are so big out here. When you first go out, it's so intimidating. Like, even as a pro, I've been doing this for a long time, and these jumps still scare the heck out of me. But once you do them and you find the flow of the track, oh man, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, and you talk about that nice big finish line jump over the Monster Energy Supercross finish line. Light the candles if you get it lucky and win this thing.
Okay, so
right
Broc,
here into a double.
Tell me what you see right here.
Man, oh man.
What do you see?
I see the Dunlop band, tough box here, but I see a little double.
I see a passing zone.
I see a takeout zone.
Yes, exactly.
But rubbing is racing, right?
Rubbing is racing.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
This is the tricky part here. I see the Dunlop tough blocks right there. I see not a full 180. And then I had to think for a second.
Yes.
This track, like we talked about, it goes all these directions, counter course, one way, this way, over, under, crisscross there. This right here leads out another one of these berms that I'm really getting to love, because it spits you out at the wrong angle.
Yes.
It spits you out like you're going this way.
Yep.
But in reality, you got to go all the way back down this gigantic starting line. This is incredible.
So this is something as a racer I'm always thinking about, Broc. So here you hit the finish line jump, you hit this little double, and you're looking for a passing zone, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to the inside here and you hit the guy on the outside, well, guess the guy on the outside that you just hit
is now on the inside.
Yes.
So that's what's so cool. So we go all the way down here. Luckily, we don't go all the way, obviously, counter course. But as Adam said, if you're on the right side of the track coming out, now you own the inside and vice versa. So great little passing opportunity.
And Broc, slow down just really quick.
Yeah,
Shane, stand over by this berm. Broc, you stand here.
Right here.
So as you can see, film us real quick.
Yep.
So if Broc's on the outside, right?
Yep, right.
Look at the angle he has to come in at because of this hay bale.
I got to go to Shane's feet or the camera
exactly.
Right here.
So I
and then
even can come in like this.
Yep.
I have so much room this is going to be another huge
And
passing area because
as soon as I set up, because I want to do this rhythm section,
Yep.
there's just an endless row of rhythm jumps there. As soon as I set up, I got some 7 deuce here.
and now we got a passing zone, baby.
You don't move that easy.
No, I do not.
200-pound riders don't move that easy.
No,
okay.
they do not.
So yes, perfect passing zone, but then the guy in third sees that happening. He just buys his time, gets set up, and still's able to jump it while you guys are rubbing and tangled up over here.
Yep, so we got some action going on.
Yeah, this is a good section right here.
Yep.
You got it. So we got
six
in a row right here, and then leads across. We go across the first turn of the racetrack.
Yep. So coming out here, I'm seeing this, and it's going to be hard to go 3-3. I think what they had set up here is to actually go 2, because that berm's so short, 3, and then you're actually going to jump across the straightaway.
Man.
I think that's going to be the line.
Yeah, and then we're going to see right here on this 6th one. So yeah, it might be a single, double.
Or double, triple, and then off this one over the start straight into the sand.
Right, double, triple, single, hopefully jump the first turn berm.
Yep.
And then check it out from here. Can you see that on camera? Get nice and high there. You got a lefty and a righty lane.
Oh, little option action?
Yeah, we got an option here. You can go left or you can go right.
I like it.
What did you do? Yeah, look at this. The futures were doing this. You guys didn't get to do it in press. They did.
No, and look at, see this landing right here?
Right.
That's telling me they were already doing that line.
So they were doing it all the way from there to there. So right here, someone's been clipping it right there.
Yep.
Coming up just a touch short, but we got Chance Hymas here.
Some really good riders. Really good futures.
Top riders here for the futures. So you're gonna move that big old boulder, are you? It's just a clay.
It's actually just
clay. You're going left. Or are you going right? I'm going left.
I'm going right.
Okay.
And the reason I choose right is, look at your side, Broc. Look at how many rollers you got.
Wait. Who decided this? I got 5, 6, 7 rollers. You just have 1.5. 2,
I know.
Whatever. That's
I know.
easy.
I mean, I'm definitely thinking that this is the long way around, but at the same time, you know, I'm dealing with less rollers for sure. So when I'm looking at this lane, this is going to be the race line. This is where you're going to make a pass. If you're coming up behind somebody and you really think you can get them, you can put in that extra effort, get your heart rate a little higher, and just go for it on this left side and make a pass. But I truthfully think this right side, the way it's set up, it's going to be the fast line.
Yeah,
it's going to be the fast line.
This has a lot more.
Like way more rollers. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And on this side, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
2 less. So you have 2 less rollers, a lot more spaced out. First one is definitely almost a double jump, so then you're never going to lose any speed.
Yes.
This one's going to be just like riding some tough sand track like Lommel in Belgium or something. That's a
But the reason I think they did that too is that inside line is a pretty straight shot. You know what I mean? You can almost, you know, the way that thing's chicaned, you can hit the left side at the beginning, or my left, looking at it this way, my left, and then end up on the right side here, and if you're just cutting that thing, it's almost a straight line. So they had to do something to make it a little shorter.
Yeah, and this lane on here on the left definitely throws you into this for a scrub. You're gonna have to hit this big fly racing jump here. This is
Yep, so this is a fly racing triple. It's funny because we got the 100-footer on that side, and I truthfully think that this thing's only like 65 feet, Broc maybe 60. So we got a big old triple on that end, and then a nice little short one on this side.
That must be for the KTM Juniors or something. It's so small.
Oh, that's funny.
This is nothing. You know,
yeah, no, this
feet.
is nothing, Broc. You could do this with your eyes closed.
That's right. Definitely with the tailwind we got today.
Absolutely.
So got this thing running right here. Pretty simple. You can see they've already started the track walk. We actually had to ask them to time out so we could get our track walk in here.
Yep.
So we could actually see the dirt. So
let's pick up these water bottles.
Yeah, you got it. They're already watering the track.
Yeah, they are. So this is one of the trickier sections, and this is where your Dunlop tires and your tire selection really makes a difference. This, you can see, it's hard pack. You have a little bit of an angle, but this is going to be a really hard turn to make up time. But this is also where you can make up time because it's just flat.
I actually, and we've talked about that during the track walks over this year, I actually really like these flat corners because it doesn't define where the rider has to go.
Exactly.
You can come in a little high and do a late apex to where you're coming down the inside trying to get a move. You can come in inside, kind of drift out the out, or you can kind of do a combo of of the 2 of those lines. And so I like that fact that they do that. This is where passing happens and sets up. and it leads you right into a set of whoops. And so our second set of whoops here, sorry about the wind there, it's a little breezy right now, but this set of whoops that we have covered here, if you're a jumper, that's like last week's winner, Marvin Muskin is always kind of known as being a bit of a jumper.
Yes.
So he might want to come early inside and not worry about getting sets of run to blitz the whoops.
Yes.
And then if you're a blitzer, you're going to come in inside and you're going to do a late apex there.
And drift all the way to those hay bales and then kind of shift up and give it a go.
Yeah, so I mean early apex and then drift wide and give it a big run for the whoops to get all your speed. So it just really depends on what your style is, and then you need to change your lines to benefit your style of riding. So I just feel like I like those options, and it's all brought on by that flat corner we just discussed. So,
and I think another aspect that's so cool about those flat turns is that's where you see Cooper Webb and those guys that are so adaptable to the new line, where you see them change that line up and they'll gain that half a second, quarter second by, okay, the line coming at the beginning of the day was inside to outside, and then by the end of the day, it's totally different because how the kickers form, and then you'll see him find that new tricky line and make up that half a second to get the win. So it's just good all around for racing.
Yeah, and he's an excellent, obviously he's an excellent inside line guy. The tighter the track, the better for a guy like Cooper Webb.
Absolutely.
Last year's reigning champion, or defending champion. So we have Dunlop big double here.
Yeah, just
pretty basic.
Pretty basic, but crooked.
Yeah, it is. You got that. You know, you have something like that, you're directing your bike. Again, it's a daytime, afternoon race tomorrow, depending on what Mother Nature throws at us. We're not used to talking about wind at Supercrosses, but anybody that's ever done a big jump in the wind or a crosswind, they know it does affect the bike. And we talked about that grit 100-foot shot earlier on, that 100-foot double, and that's directly into a headwind. So people are going to the riders are going to have to pay attention a little bit to the wind.
And as we're kind of finishing up this track walk, one of the big things I want to touch on, let's get up on this landing. This double right here before us that we were just looking at with the Dunlop hay bales, one of the hardest things about a double like this is they're very, very fun for the riders because they are crooked. But what happens with a crooked double is it becomes very, very one-lined. So that section, you're going to hit the whoops, maybe make a pass or not make a pass. You're going to be one-lined, and then you're really going to have to put extra effort in on this double to get side by side with your opponent to try to beat them in this, this rhythm section, which is going to be difficult. So from pretty much that flat turn all the way to the big triple in the back, it's going to be very, very hard to make a pass. This is going to be a difficult spot. So as a racer, I'm looking to find, and every time I do these track walks, I look, where can I make a pass? Where's my speed coming from? There's very, very few places on this track that I've seen that were like an easy passing zone, but I'm always looking for that. So setting up a guy, looking for this side of the track, but this side's going to be really difficult.
Good points, Adam. And then you talk about the fact that, a corner, a jump that's turning, it might, I guess statically measure as 25, 30 feet wide, but the dynamic racing line is much narrower because a rider's going at an angle, he might be scrubbing, so that just takes up 3 or 4 feet of room or 5 feet more. That has less area to pass somebody. But again, we're coming back out, you can kind of get a little bit of a view of the track. Encourage you to watch the the animated track to get a better feel for it. But right here is the first corner, is where it intersected, where we kind of started this ride. We already walked down here, but this is where you're intersecting that turn 1. You can see the Monster Energy finish line across the way, right in front of Atlanta Motor Speedway, and that has been our conclusion of our round 14. I can't believe it's already been 14 rounds.
I know,
and
it's
thank you, Adam, for helping us, and the best of luck tomorrow.
Heck yeah, thank you so much,
and
Broc.
good luck with the Twisted T Suzuki. And again, we'll be posting this here in the late, probably tonight actually, sorry, and then we'll be watching the racing tomorrow, and after that we'll see you in Foxborough, so tune in Foxborough. Another little bit earlier schedule, and so is Salt Lake. Everything's early. In Denver, we have Denver's early, and then Salt Lake's early, so everything's going off to the normal plan here. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.